The winds of Kyrian 7 never slept. Dust whipped endlessly across the abandoned colony of City 12, carving patterns into metal walls and stinging anyone foolish enough to walk unshielded. But Marcus Halle had been called worse things than foolish. A former Marine turned freelance rescue contractor, Marcus had been stranded on Kyrian 7 for nearly 3 months. The colony's native species, the villa, had been devastated by a mysterious illness that darkened their violet skin and drained the life from them day by day. Most humans had already evacuated, leaving the dying natives to fend for themselves. Marcus moved carefully through the skeleton of a half-collapsed corridor, scanning for survivors, or at least for bodies he could document. Every step crunched against broken glass and ceramic fragments. Then he heard it. A tiny, trembling sound, almost like a whimper. Not human. Not mechanical. Something else. Marcus whirled, rifle raised, and froze. Standing in the dusty light of a broken wall was a small girl, barely 6, maybe 7. Her skin was a soft violet hue, smudged with grime, and her tangled blonde hair fell over frightened blue eyes. She wore a torn brown tunic that had once been warm but now hung loosely on her thin frame. In one hand she held a small stuffed doll made of rough fabric with 2 mismatched button eyes and a crooked stitched smile. In her other hand was a stale piece of bread half eaten. But her expression was what struck Marcus the most, fear mixed with something far worse, desperation. Slowly, she stepped toward him. "Please, pain, medicine?" she said in broken English, her voice trembling. His chest tightened. She wasn't asking for herself. Her gaze kept drifting behind Marcus toward a collapsed platform. Marcus turned. There, lying on the ground, was a villa woman, likely the girl's mother. Her chest rose shallowly. Her limbs were limp. Her skin had turned dangerously dark, the sign of the late-stage infection. The girl stepped forward again and extended her doll toward Marcus. "Trade," she whispered. "I give, you." Give medicine. Marcus's heart cracked. A child offering her only toy in exchange for her mother's life. No soldier, no mercenary training prepares you for that. He lowered his rifle and knelt in front of her. "You don't have to trade anything," Marcus said softly. "I'll help." And in that moment, he broke every contract rule he had ever signed. Marcus reached for one of the last remaining med sprays in his pack, a mixture of painkillers and anti-infection compounds. The girl watched every movement, clutching the bread as if it were her last meal. As he approached the unconscious woman, the girl hurried beside him, kneeling and whispering, "Mama, Mama." Marcus pressed the injector against the woman's arm. A soft hiss sounded as the medicine entered her bloodstream. After a few seconds, her breathing steadied, still shallow, but no longer fading. The girl gasped silently, her eyes brimming with tears. She hugged the stuffed doll to her chest as though holding her own heartbeat. "She your mama?" Marcus asked. The girl nodded. "Name, Nira. And you?" "Lyra." It suited her, gentle, melodic, fragile. Marcus looked at Nira again. The med spray might buy her a few days, but without evacuation or long-term treatment, she would still die. "We need to get both of you somewhere safe," Marcus said. Lyra clutched his sleeve lightly, hope flickering in her eyes like a tiny flame that refused to be extinguished. Carrying Nira in his arms and guiding Lyra beside him, Marcus headed toward the safest shelter he knew, an old maintenance outpost he'd fortified. Inside, he laid Nira on a makeshift bed. Lyra never let go of her mother's hand. While the two rested, Marcus searched the outpost's half-functional computer terminal. He'd been suspecting that the illness wasn't natural. After several attempts, the terminal came to life, filling the room with a dim flicker. Marcus scanned the logs, mining reports, environmental warnings, chemical analysis. Then he found it. A confidential human corporate file. His stomach tightened as he read. The illness wasn't a natural virus. It was caused by a chemical compound leaked from a human mining process. Not an accident, a cost-cutting measure. The Villa weren't just dying. They were being wiped out by human greed. Marcus closed his eyes, jaw clenched. Rage simmered under his skin, but he swallowed it down. Right now, Lyra and her mother needed him more than his anger did. When Marcus returned to the room, Lyra was sitting by her mother's side, gently wiping her forehead with a cloth. The little doll rested in her lap, its button eyes staring blankly. Marcus smiled softly. "You take good care of her," he said. Lyra looked up shyly. Then she held out the doll again. "You keep," she said. "For help." Marcus shook his head. "No, Lyra, that's yours. It keeps you brave, right?" Lyra hesitated, then hugged the doll tightly, nodding. "You are good human," she whispered. "Most humans run away." Marcus sat beside her. "I'm not running." It had been years since anyone called him good. And yet, in that dusty room, hearing it from a child who had lost everything, Marcus felt something inside him shift. A sudden alarm blared through the outpost. Marcus jumped to his feet, rushing to the scanner. The screen flashed red. Dozens of movement signatures were approaching fast. Corporate security drones. They didn't rescue, they erased. Any evidence of corporate wrongdoing was considered a breach of protocol, including survivors. If they found Lyra and her mother, they would destroy them without hesitation. Marcus swallowed hard. "Lyra," he said urgently, "we have to go, now." Lyra trembled. "Drones? Kill us?" "Not if I stop them." He grabbed a portable hoversled and carefully lifted Nira onto it. Then he pulled back a metal panel, revealing a hidden corridor leading down into the old colony tunnels. "This path leads to an escape dock," Marcus said. "There's an autopod there. It'll take you off the planet." Lyra's lip quivered. "You come too?" Marcus clenched his fist. He wanted to go. He could go. But if he left with them, the drones would follow the tunnel and destroy them before they reached the dock. "I need to stay," he finally said. "I'll distract them." Lyra grabbed his arm, shaking her head violently. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "No, no, you help us, you good, don't go." Marcus knelt and rested a hand on her shoulder. "You gave me hope, Lyra," he said softly. "Now I need you to survive. For your mother. For your people." Lyra stared at him, then slowly lifted her doll and pushed it into his hands. "You take," she insisted. "Lucky. Protects you." Marcus's throat tightened as he accepted the doll. "Thank you," he whispered. "Now go." Lyra guided the hoversled into the tunnel, looking back again and again until the shadows swallowed her small figure. Marcus turned toward the outpost entrance. The drones were seconds away. He armed every decoy charge he had left and sprinted into the open. The drones spotted him instantly. Unauthorized human presence detected. Surrender. "Yeah, not today," Marcus muttered. He triggered the first charge. A massive explosion rocked the ground, sending debris raining down. A wave of dust blinded the drones long enough for Marcus to dash into the outer yard, firing at their sensors, drawing all attention to himself. Blasts struck near his feet. Metal shards cut into his arm. He stumbled, but didn't stop. Another charge detonated, shredding 2 drones. But a third explosion knocked him off his feet, slamming him into a steel pillar. For a moment, everything went silent except his heartbeat and the faint clatter of the doll still clutched in his fist. His vision blurred. But through the haze, he heard the faint echo of something. A launch. A pod breaking atmosphere. Lyra had made it. Marcus let out a shaky breath. He had kept his promise. Hours later, Marcus awoke beneath the collapsed yard canopy. The drones were gone, likely recalled, once their scanners lost the villa's signatures. He groaned and sat up painfully. His wounds burned, but he was alive. When he looked down, the doll rested in his lap, dusty, worn, but intact. He clutched it gently. "I hope you're safe, kid," he murmured. He limped out of the ruins and stared at the sky just in time to see a faint shimmer, a distant pod disappearing toward the horizon. A small smile tugged at his lips. Weeks later, Lyra and Nira were rescued by a humanitarian fleet. Nara responded to long-term treatment, and Lyra, finally safe, began to smile again. But every night she looked up at the stars. She missed the man who saved her life, the man who gave up everything to protect her, the man she hoped to see again. She touched her chest where the doll used to be. "Lucky," she whispered. "Keep him safe until I find him," because one day she would return. And when she did, the story wouldn't end here. It would only begin.